Bola Oba's AI video series. This is Lagos. Kosoko, the stormy petrel of Lagos. His name, Kosoko, a name that in Yoruba cosmology means no more hole to dig your grave. A name that confirms he was born Abiku, one of the mysterious spirit children, believed to die and return again and again. Tradition holds that when such a child is reborn to the same parents, after early infants have died, the child may be derisively named Kosoko, a warning: if you die again, we will not bury you. You will be cast into the bush or burned without rights, without dignity. But this child did not die. He lived, and he became a figure of unforgettable legend. Early 19th century, along the shimmering coast of the Bight of Benin, a fierce dynastic struggle was erupting, a battle for the soul of Lagos, a conflict so intense it would draw the gaze of the world's most powerful naval empire. The story of Oba Kosoko, warrior, king, and the man whose defiance altered the destiny of Lagos forever. Born into the mighty Ologunkutere dynasty, Kosoko was the son of Oba Oshilokun, heir to generations of princes, chiefs, and warriors. But in Lagos, royal blood alone meant nothing. The crown belonged only to the man chosen by the kingmakers, the man whose Ori, his divine destiny, was affirmed by the sacred wisdom of Ifa. When Ologunkutere died around 1800, the royal house cracked open. Oshilokun violently seized the throne from his own brother, Oba Adele Ajosun, sending him into exile. That fracture would echo for decades, and it would shape the fiery path of a child named Kosoko. But Kosoko's greatest enemy was not a prince. It was Chief Eletu Odibo Oshibolye, the all-powerful prime minister and kingmaker. Their feud began with a forbidden act. Kosoko took as wife a woman who had already been betrothed to Eletu Odibo. What followed was not anger, but vendetta. And from that moment, the two men were bound to a collision course from which neither would ever turn back. When Oshilokun died in 1819, Kosoko's brother Idewu Ojulari became Oba. His rule was so despised that the people appealed to the suzerain, the Oba of Benin. Benin's judgment was harsh. Idewu Ojulari must take his own life, a chilling symbol of the old empire's lingering power. And when the throne fell vacant again, Kosoko should have been next, but Eletu Odibo blocked him again and again. During Adele's second reign, after Adele's death in 1937, and when Adele's own son ascended, enmity turned to open warfare. Eletu Odibo banished Kosoko's sister, accusing her of witchcraft. Kosoko rose in armed rebellion, Ogun Ewe Koko, the war of the cocoyam leaves. Defeated, he fled to Ekpe. Then came the unforgivable. Eletu Odibo exhumed the remains of Kosoko's mother and cast them into the Lagos Lagoon. This insult could only end in blood. In 1841, lightning struck the royal palace, killing Oba Oluwole in a violent explosion. With Kosoko still in exile, the crown fell to his uncle, Akitoye. Akitoye, desperate for peace, recalled his fiery nephew to Lagos, but the chiefs trembled. Eletu Odibo raged. The city bristled with fear. Kosoko returned not as exile, but as hero, flanked by warriors and fortified by influential Muslim allies. Soon, he grew stronger than Akitoye himself. Words turned to threats, threats turned to war. In 1845, Lagos ignited. Ogun Olomiro, the saltwater wars. For 3 brutal weeks, Kosoko's armies besieged the palace. Akitoye fled through the lagoon, saved only by the cunning of Oshodi Takpa, Kosoko's loyal war captain. Kosoko triumphed. He was Oba of Lagos, but victory had awakened new enemies. Akitoye, now in exile, forged an alliance with British missionaries and Consul John Beecroft, pledging to abandon the slave trade in exchange for British backing. Kosoko, however, refused British overtures. He stood with his old allies powerful transatlantic merchants like Domingo Martinez and the network of Portuguese and Brazilian traders who dominated the region. In 1851, Britain issued an ultimatum: renounce the slave trade, accept British friendly relations. Kosoko refused. Only the Oba of Benin, he declared, could negotiate for Lagos. So Britain answered with war. December 1851, Kosoko's forces crushed the first British assault. Humiliated, Britain declared that Kosoko had made war on England. On December 26th, the Royal Navy returned. What followed is remembered as the bombardment of Lagos, Ogun Ahoyaya, the war of boiling cannons. For 2 days, the Lagos erupted with fire. Smoke swallowed the sky. The earth trembled beneath naval guns. Kosoko fought with unyielding courage, but by December 28th, he was forced once more into exile, back to Ekpe. Akintoye regained the throne under British protection, signing the 1852 treaty that abolished the slave trade in Lagos. In Ekpe, Kosoko rose again, gathering more than 400 loyal warriors, men who believed he remained the rightful Oba. He launched daring offensives on Lagos in 1853, striking deep into the heart of the city, but British fire proved decisive. At last, in 1854, Kosoko signed the Treaty of Ekpe, renouncing claims to the Lagos throne. In return, the British acknowledged his authority in Ekpe, a concession and a sentence. When Britain annexed Lagos in 1861, Kosoko was finally permitted to return, not as Oba, but as Oloja of Ereko, an elder statesman supported by a government pension. He died in 1872, buried at Ereko, yet his shadow did not fade. His lieutenants, men like Oshodi Takpa and Taiwo Olowo, became titans of the new colonial economy, commanding a commercial network over 20,000 strong. Even in death, Kosoko stood toe to toe with the houses of Akitoye and Dosumu, the very kings who replaced him. Kosoko remains one of the dramatic figures in West African history, a prince denied by politics, a king forged in war, a leader unbroken by empire, and a man whose defiance shaped the destiny of Lagos. Oba Kosoko, warrior of the waters, his legacy endures.
With a style so divine, never missed a party, always first in the line.
Echo Round City. In the heart of Lagos, long before hashtags and influencers, there were kings of the streets, big boys who ruled the 1980s and 1990s. Their swagger, their hustle, their code. Now, for the first time ever, their untold story comes alive. From the pages of an authorized biography to the big screen of your imagination, stay tuned for the book-to-movie premiere of Echo Round City, the authorized biography of one of Lagos's legendary street big boys, streaming exclusively on youtube.com at Bola Oba from January 1st, 2026. Echo Round City, the legend lives on.